Hello and welcome to the SATLUJ TV podcast. My guest joining us once again today is a former president of the Sikh Youth of America, former president of one of the largest Gurdwaras in California, and the founder of the Sikh Information Centre, the organisation for minorities of India, and the Sovereign Star Publishing Company. But he's also been a prolific author with published titles including Faces of Terror in India, Demons Within, Cultural Malware, and Kite Fights, amongst many others. Bhajan Singh Bhinder, welcome and thank you for joining us once again today.
Thank you, Scott, and Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh to the entire SATLUJ family and all the Panth and the global community at large.
Indeed. Now, Bhajan, in recent episodes that we've called The Road to Khalistan, we've talked extensively about how India's birth and growth has been so deeply linked to the ambitions of the Soviet Union, and particularly the KGB, actually becoming the region's closest ally to the USSR. And that's even a relationship that prevails today. But today's discussion, I want to focus, if we may, on explosive information that you have recently uncovered relating to Operation Shanty. And this shocking operation, thought up by Indira Gandhi at the behest of the KGB to effectively annihilate the Sikh population in the 1980s, the only people standing in the way of the Soviet Union absorbing India into its own empirical ambitions. Now, traditionally, Operation Shanty has been linked to November 1984, but it appears this genocidal plan had in fact been intended much earlier. Now, in October 1983, the Dilwan bus massacre saw the killing of 6 Hindus by Khalistan extremists. But this killing was not quite as simple as it appears. In fact, it may have actually had a more sinister background that more so than people realise. Bhajan, could you perhaps elaborate on this?
Yes, Scott. I would say that right when Indira Gandhi returned to power in 1918, she played a deadly Game of Thrones and a full-scale war on the people of Punjab, the Sikhs, and the whole region was part of a diabolic plan. For example, we want to start with this to understand the depth of this madness. For example, when one look at the Dilwan bus kand, where 6 Hindus were pulled out from a bus going from Delhi to Amritsar, and they were shot in cold blood murder. And the whole Hindu India media, Indira Gandhi was controlling the media at that time, and they put the news out that it's a Hindu massacre, is done by Sikhs, it's associated with the Sikh demands for Nandpur Sahib resolution, and they are targeting Bhindranwale. So in fact, they used this Dilwanwala bus massacre as part of the white paper report to the Indian nation. They say a new dimension has been created, escalating the violence, and they quoted this October 5th, 1983 incident. Subsequently, Indira Gandhi ran a president rule. The president rule was imposed on Punjab. Her very own Congress government, which the chief minister was Gurdwaras Singh, was removed from power. And this set in motion the tremendous hatred, fear of the Sikhs, not only having a global impact on the global community, particularly targeting the Hindu community and other communities at large in India, and isolating the Sikhs completely. So giving a very strong pretext to impose a president's rule. So if one was to look at this simply, one would say, you know what, yes, the Sikhs murdered this Hindu, the Hindus were murdered, it was a cold-blooded killing, and the Sikhs deserve what is coming to them. But actually, behind this was Indira's massive diabolic plan, collaborating with the Russians, who I would say were the de facto rulers of India, and they were co-rulers with the Brahmin Nehru dynasty. And you can you can, from this incident, if you go to the next slide, this will explain her whole plan, which is, and one would wonder, what has that got to do with the Jallianwala bus count? Actually, when Indira Gandhi came to power, she collaborated with many entities. The major players were the KGB, USSR, who were stuck in Afghanistan at that time. So she was collaborating with them, and it was a joint strategy to win her elections. GB Sidhu, one of the insiders, was telling us that Indira Gandhi had a two-phase approach to winning elections, which she set the ball in motion in 1980. One was to create Bhindranwale and a Khalistan issue as a threat to India, and then she wanted to very brutally suppress and put it down and capture, do it just enough months before the 1985 January election. So she said, if you give herself 6 to 9 months, and that brings us about early 1983. So she has enough damage done to the enemy she created, so she could get all the Hindu votes and etc. That's what the GB Sidhu, the raw former officer, was telling in his book. But it goes beyond that. My research tells me that she planned, got the raw agency to pick up disgruntled exiles who were in London. So KGB is one, the London group is another, and she brought those groups to Delhi. In fact, a lot of us are saying Rajiv Gandhi is Mr. Clean. He wasn't involved in politics. Actually, the first attempt to bring the dissident groups belonging to a breakaway party of Zulkifli Ali Bhutto, not Benazir Bhutto, a breakaway party who were aligned with the leftists in Pakistan, and they had some disgruntled junior officers. So this all elaborative system was handled by RAW by an agent named Joshi in London, who facilitated the meeting between Rajiv Gandhi and this group headed by Mustafa Khar, the former governor of Punjab during Bhutto's time. So when they first came to Delhi, they were supported by a reporter, Talwin Singh, who raised hell that how could you come and be whisked away quietly through the customs, that how could a Pakistani come here at this day and age? So very quietly, Rajiv told them that I'm not going to meet you this time because we've been exposed. So this group was then, a couple of months later, the group came again, and this time they met Indira Gandhi personally at her residence. And that's where they planned in early 1980 that we must create a war-like situation, we must defeat Zia, and it is very important to install you. You are the chosen one as part of the new government, and I will have to use my army to defeat Pakistan. So now you see the D-Day they chose, and this meeting was March 23rd, 1984, which was going to be the Pakistan's National Army Day. And the plan with this group was to supply them with enough weapons and whatnot so they could attack on March 23, 1984, kill General Zia, invite the Soviet Union to Pakistan, and finish off the whole region. And that was also the elaborative Operation Shanty plans going back, way back then, to destroy this created anger of the Hindus, suppress them brutally, and the Durga would come in again, and she will win a 5-year, another election term. So you can see, if March 23rd, 1984 was the D-Day to kill General Zia and bring this whole, her co-rulers were the KGB and the USSR. She was doing that to facilitate them. If she only wanted to create anger in Punjab, she could have just done the Bhindranwale and the Khalistan issue, and the Hindus would have voted her in. But she owed her her seat, her power. Nehru owed his dynastic rule of his family to the USSR, to KGB. They were the de facto rulers basically in Delhi ever since the independence of India. And we can go elaboratively on that on another occasion. So coming back to the Bhindranwale bus kand, so if March was the D-Day, the operation started. Indira Gandhi needed to have an absolute control over Punjab. So she started these killing campaigns of the Hindu on October 5 to give enough time to prepare for D-Day, and subsequently she put the whole state of Punjab into the present rule. And now you can see the tie-up between the Afghanistan, the USSR, the leftists, and I would say the traitors of Pakistan. They're all collaborating together to facilitate this D-Day, and subsequently also create the Operation Shanty, where everything will be done and the Durga will be in power again.
Okay, Bhajan, this is really extraordinary information. So if I can summarise really what you're saying here, just really so we understand the dynamics that are happening here. Of course, post-partition, the Soviet Union sees a huge opportunity. The British have moved out. They see India as a grand prize. And of course, India by then included Pakistan up to that point. And so, of course, Soviet ambitions were clearly to sweep down through Afghanistan, Pakistan, and ultimately into India. Now they had their puppets in place. Nehru, clearly a Soviet puppet. His own daughter, Indira Gandhi, who likewise became a puppet of the Soviet Union. Even as a teenager, she was entertained in Moscow. So there are clear ties between the Gandhi dynasty and the Soviet Union. So in the context of this then, what you're saying is that Soviet ambitions were essentially to sweep down through Afghanistan, sweep into Pakistan, ultimately into India. Now this is borne out by in 1979, we have the invasion of Afghanistan. The Soviets move into Afghanistan. So the only thing standing in the way between the Soviet Empire, let's call it, and India is Pakistan. And of course, in the middle of that also is the Punjab and the Sikh community. So what you're now saying is that the Soviet Union needed to create a situation that allowed them to legally, let's call it, remove both Pakistan and the Sikh community. So to do that, firstly, they needed to remove General Zia. Secondly, they needed to remove the Sikh community. So they needed to somehow generate a reason to destroy the Sikh people. And it sounds like, Bhajan, what you're saying is that the Khalistan movement really was almost encouraged by Indira Gandhi in a very subtle way, because by the growth of the Khalistan movement and Khalistan militancy, it gives her the excuse to go in militarily, to go in with brute force and massacre the Sikh community, and hence Operation Shanty. So have I summarised that correctly?
Yes, you have. And the proof is in the pudding. In the Soviet Union KGB archives, they say they ran an operation in early 1980. It was called Operation Contact. And we talked about that before, where they create massive documentation, propaganda, fake news that the CIA, Pakistan were all collaborating to create a Khalistan. But this was the overall scheme of the KGB, the USSR, and Indira herself personally, and Rajiv Gandhi, let's not forget him. They all collaborated how to create a massive, this is one of the most dirtiest, and I hate to use the word brilliant, you can say it basically fooled the world, you know. And they hoodwinked the world into believing what happened. And you're absolutely correct. The collaboration this collaborate also with the findings of the one of the most high-ranking G.B. Sidhu, who wrote the book, that the strategy was to create an issue of Khalistan, but for some reason he leaves out the whole KGB connection and the whole London-Pakistan nexus and the whole D-Day nexus. In fact, nobody has ever talked about this. So many books been written about 84. Not a single one has ever mentioned the D-Day till today. This is a new discovery for all of us, and the collaboration and the nexus is going on from 1980 itself.
So, Bhajan, we could actually conclude from this, just as going off as a side tangent sort of discussion, the Khalistan movement, really, the growth of the Khalistan movement and the success of it, and ultimately the assassination of Indira Gandhi, this really was the one thing that, or one of several things, let's say, that prevented the Soviet Union from sweeping across into India. They basically were that one obstacle that they could not defeat.
I would say, knowingly or unknowingly, the Sikhs were the only obstacle they were the only people standing between the handshake between the Russians and the Punjab. I would say this is going back to during even the Bangladesh war. At that time, there was collaborations. We have General Suleiman, who told in 1975 S.K. Sinha that our plan was to meet you at the border at the Jamna River and shake hands with you there in 1971. But unfortunately, we could not facilitate that for some reason. So you go back and you listen to these generals, and this is in the S.K. Sinha's book, Soldier Recalls. So you can see this thing is going on for a long time, and then the geopolitics is playing, where America is playing its cards in there. But particularly moving on to 1980, it would have been simple if the Sikhs were on board, and then there's no issue. Then there's no nothing to worry about. They're all puppets, and the Sikhs would have helped to attack Pakistan and help India connect its ambitions with the USSR. And that's why Nixon, he called Indira Gandhi a bitch, because they knew all these plans going back way back from 1970, that there was a massive effort to push into Punjab via Pakistan. So you're absolutely right. And that's why Bhindranwale, the true hero of this period, whom many people have failed to study, he was the only person who kept saying Sikhs are not interested in Khalistan. They have sacrificed so much for this country. How could a community that has sacrificed so much want to dismember it, want to break it apart? We want our rights. If Indira Gandhi wants to give us Khalistan, that's her business. And he also warned that the true Khalistan movement will come out the day they made this mistake of attacking the Golden Temple, and which is what unfolded. So what Indians need to know, that this whole genie was created by the Nehru dynasty with their de facto co-rulers, the Russians, KGB, after the independence of India. Truly, the people of India were never independent. They were being ruled after the British by now a Brahmin and a KGB family together. And then they created this mess in Punjab. They killed so many people. And that's where we are today with the issue of Khalistan.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. I think bringing the dimension of the KGB into the story. Of course, we often talk about the events of 1984, Indira Gandhi's assassination, and we do say that that probably was one of the greatest pushes that birthed the Khalistan movement. And as you rightly say, Bhindranwale at that time was not vocally calling for Khalistan. He was basically just asking for his basic human rights as listed very clearly in the Anandpur resolution several years earlier. So in fact, Bhajan, it does appear, ironically, the Khalistan movement really is a product of both the KGB, unwittingly, and the Gandhi dynasty.
Yeah, I would call that the Brahmin mindset, where the only thing mattered was the top 5% of people who benefited most from this total collaborations with the KGB. And those people who sought truly for the benefit of their own population next door, China. They took the people out of hunger and opium infestation. And they are a clear example that those who love the people and fought for the people, I do not agree their approach completely, but at least the people are fed and clothed. And look at India. And this is the net result of the Nehru-Gandhi ambitious control of this country with the elite in power. And yes, they are the ones to be blamed for creating the desire for Sikhs to have Khalistan. And the world, when they realize this is what happened to the Sikhs, we are justified in demanding our country.
Yes, incredible. Okay, Bhajan, let's just move forward then to, so we're looking at March the 23rd, 1984, this so-called D-Day. This was the date that this extraordinary operation was to be launched, the assassination of General Zia in Pakistan, and of course this Operation Shanty. Let's move to that then. So can you talk about the events leading up to that? And obviously it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? What stopped it happening?
So apparently, the plan was so sinister that Indira Gandhi flew to Washington, D.C. in August of 1983, where she toasted and dined and banqueted with President Ronald Reagan and eased his mind that, my thoughts on Afghanistan are very different. I want you to understand my position. Look at the crafty Brahmin that the President Nixon called a bitch. And this is a reason, because these people are not representing the country, they were conniving foxes. This is just like before the attack on the Pearl Harbor, where the ambassador to the United States, the Japanese ambassador, while the attack on Pearl Harbor was being launched, he was assuring the United States that we have no such ambitions. So she was already planning. You can see that she was planning in August to make sure that the United States remain unaware. So they've been planning in 1980. In between 1980 and what failed, there were numerous plans. A rupee was sent from India, and a top smuggler was called from Pakistan. They all met in London. And many trips happened between India, Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, Arun Nehru. All these people had multiple meetings and trips and collaborations with the Pakistani group and the Afghanistan group and the KGB groups, obviously. And they wanted to, so in order to achieve this, the promise was that Indira Gandhi would be responsible for sending weapons. So in December of 31st of 1983, massive shipments of weapons, good for at least 300 soldiers in Pakistan, anti-aircraft guns, anti-tank weapons, plastic explosives, money, top-notch weapons, most sophisticated automatic weapons were sent across on December 31st. In order to send this so much weapons across, Indira Gandhi needed to control the state of Punjab. So in order to control the state of Punjab and totally eliminate the Punjab administration for ever knowing anything what's going on, including to shift the blame away from a Congress party that, it was under a president's rule. So she took out her very own party and then imposed president's rule. And under this blanket of secrecy, all these weapons moved into a house, Pearl Continental in Lahore, next to Pearl Continental Hotel. And for some reason, this operation got leaked, either by the junior officers involved in Pakistan or Indira Gandhi's kitchen cabinet. At this time, according to the KGB, at this particular time, they had 9 paid KGB agents who won elections and were part of the Indira Gandhi's cabinet, 9 of them. So this is like the core rule, the de facto rulers, the administrators of Indira Gandhi's workings over there. So you can see that when the weapons went there, on January 1st, the Pakistan intelligence, they got hold of these weapons. They caught all the people involved. So now there's phone conversations going on between the exile group in December 31st, no one could sleep. And if you read the book My Feudal Lord, we talked about it before, she spills all this. And she said that we couldn't sleep. We were on the phone. What happened to the weapons? The green light's not coming. The army officers are getting frantic. So the whole operation was actually given to the world, was open to the world in March 1984. From December 1983 to March 1984, which was about a week before the D-Day, this operation was kept quiet, that the weapons been found, people been arrested. They kept it hush for whatever reason. Most probably to keep the USSR and Indira Gandhi, just keep them in the dark. So in October, raw agents made many trips back and forth. If you read the Christian Science Monitor article, it tells you how raw agents were planning this from October 1983, making massive trips between Delhi and Islamabad, organizing the smugglers, organizing the weapons, making sure the half-ton rupee was given to each group. So when they met at the border, which they did, and that's how the weapons came into Pakistan.
Sorry,
Pakistan
Bhajan,
allowed the weapons to come in.
Yeah, just to jump in there, Bhajan. So just to clarify, so the weapons that were being shipped from Delhi to Islamabad or Lahore, they were caught by the Pakistan authorities, but they did not announce that they had discovered it. So they kept that news secret. So the India presumed everything was still in place.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And the Punjab border was used to do all this work. The Punjab border from India's Punjab side, they use all this elaboration. That's a lot of trucks, a lot of weapons, a lot of activity, and it was done by so much secrecy that I believe that the whole operations from 1980, which we are calling the third agency, that so many people did not know what was happening. I believe the most of the people at the highest level, including the President of India, although he's an idiot, Gyani Jail Singh, I believe he did not know all these things was happening under his nose, and so did so many other people. This tells you, I believe, that a special KGB cell was operating in India, which is directly working as the third agency, the secret agency where nobody knows. That's the only way they could have maintained all this secrecy. And they brought the weapons through this network into Lahore at the Pearl Continental Hotel, and then the Christian Science Monitor report of March 1984 clearly gives the names of all these raw agents involved. So apparently Pakistan has a lot of investigation done and choose a very precise time. In the weapons that were sent across to Pearl Continental Hotel for Jia's next to Pearl Continental Hotel for Jia's assassination, they put a video cassette of the assassination of Anwar Sadat. They gave a precise direction that when Zia was observing the Pakistan Day parade, just like Anwar Sadat, the Egyptian soldiers went up and shot him in front of the public. India and America wanted this thing to be a global stage show. They didn't want it to be hidden, cloak, dagger. They wanted to have a grand impact on the whole world, that they have power to do this right under everybody's nose.
So just backtrack one short step. The Dilwan bus massacre, do you think that was a false flag operation?
Absolutely. Because to create the secrecy, they needed a president rule. And they didn't want the Congress party to suffer, because they would say, how did Punjab's so much happen? They were planning a major Operation Shanty. So this is all part of the Operation Shanty. Had Operation Shanty taken place, then the Congress party would not be blamed. It would be, okay, this is a president rule. It was beyond the state's control. So hopefully to save the future of the Congress party at the same time. And then to the whole Dilwanwala bus kind, even before, you go back to 1982, if they're planning this from 1980, if you look at the white paper and you go through all the dates of violence and everything they were doing from 1980 to the D-Day. In fact, the whole negotiations with the Akalis, the whole I'm willing to meet the Akalis, Bhindranwale is a great guy, the rest of Bhindranwale, the whole thing was a big show, if you look at it, because most important was the D-Day. And D-Day would achieve the Soviet goal, which the Soviet told Indira Gandhi that if you want us to keep you in power, you better give us something, and then we'll let you handle the get you the victory of the Hindu anger against the Sikhs. So the whole thing needs to be restudied under this revelations that I'm putting for you today. So if D-Day was set in stone and Operation Shanty, massive killings were to go, so she was prolonging the whole agony of the Sikhs, the whole agony of Punjab, the whole agony of the people of India, so that it will be timed in such a way there will be just enough time to capture the anger and turn it into a vote bank for Indira Gandhi. So absolutely, that the Dilwara Baskand in 1982 to create an enmity between the Hindus and the Sikhs, she planted cow heads on the Hindu mandir. And every action of her now needs to be studied, everything. Because if you study the action, why she came to see Reagan in 1983, you have a perfect answer now. Wow, to make sure the U.S. remains off guard. And everything is connected to this D-Day.
Yeah, and if we look at this D-Day and the planned assassination of Zia and of course Operation Shanty, how do you think they were going to package up, let's call it, this assassination of Zia? Do you think, can we speculate that the plan was to blame Sikh separatists again? Do you think it would have been blamed on Sikh separatists? And of course, Operation Shanty, if we backtrack a bit and explain a bit about Shanty, that Shanty was designed to blame again the uprising in the Punjab of the Sikh separatists to assist Pakistan's invasion of India. So again, there was this false flag attempt to blame the Sikh community for assisting Pakistan, and therefore they would go in and obliterate the Sikh community as part of that. But Zia's assassination, was that also going to be blamed on Sikh separatists?
No, the Zia assassination was to facilitate the Soviet interest. Now, the targeting of the Sikhs and Punjab was to facilitate her Hindu bank vote, to create Hindu anger, to create Hindutva. This is like a pre-Hindutva situation now. The Sikhs are your enemy. So she wanted to create a win-win situation rather than to see as a person who created war with the Pakistan and all that. And they wanted to manage it in such a way that the Zia killing would be just enough where the Mujahideen and the USS support from Pakistan to the freedom fighters in Afghanistan would be suppressed, and the Russians there would have been plenty, and they would have came into the Balochistan area and the Sindh area, which had already been softened by Indira Gandhi for many decades. So the Sikh anger was to justify the bigger goals of the Soviet Union and the bigger goals of the dynastic ambition of Indira Gandhi for her son Rajiv. And many of these things were happening even when Sanjay Gandhi was alive. It started at that point early on.
An interesting thought springs to mind about this. The assassination of General Zia would have seriously weakened Pakistan at that moment, as it was obviously designed to do. When we think about Soviet ambitions, the Soviet Union would love to get access to the Indian Ocean. Pakistan provides a large coastline. Do you think, and I don't know even if we could even speculate the answer to this, but do you think had that assassination of Zia gone ahead, Pakistan had been seriously weakened. Of course, the Soviet Union are already just over the border in Afghanistan after their invasion only 3 years earlier. Do you think even then that the Soviet Union could have considered invading Pakistan to therefore bridge the Soviet Union all the way across to India, get access to the Indian Ocean? Do you think this actually, that assassination, that simple assassination, could have been the key to actually an enormous geopolitical masterstroke?
If Zia was assassinated, it would have been a different world, period. Because this was a do or die battle for the survival of the Soviet Union. And they knew it, and Indira Gandhi knew it going in, that this is something is going to be the only way forward is victory. So you can see that these collaborations has never stopped. We're going back way from when Indira Gandhi got in power, from the dynastic ambitions of Nehru. This could be even leading all the way to a much earlier planning. Had Zainal Zia died, then the Mujahideen movement, US is not going to send soldiers there. They can't go through Afghanistan, they can't go through India, and going through Soviet Union is impossible. It'll be a landlocked area, and the Soviet Union would have a field day. They could have sent Balochistan, just like the Mujibur Rahman force. The Mukti Bahani force was created by the KGB, by Indira Gandhi into Bangladesh. They could have created any number of scenarios, and there was enough. There was disgruntled officers in the army, leftist lawyers, disgruntled politicians like Mustafa Khar. Not only the D-Day, they've been planning many D-Days, but this was the final D-Day. Earlier, Indira Gandhi has met Zulkifli Ali Bhutto's sons and trained them in India and sent them to Afghanistan, where the Communist Party trained them to attack Pakistan, hijack the planes. So you can see that there is a lot going on in this area. And the Soviet Union and Indira Gandhi is a key ally. This is a lady who has no interest over the 1 billion people who are suffering under her nose. And she's so ambitious, she's so crazy that she wants to destroy good, loyal citizens like the Sikhs, the hardworking people of India, the breadbasket of Punjab. She was willing to risk the food. There could have been a massive military uprising. There were so many downturns to this venture, but because the Soviet Union had a sword, the sword of the Soviet Union was on her Brahmin neck, that will keep you in power on the condition that you are our agent. And that's what happened here. The whole planning, it was geopolitical. It would have been a geopolitical massive earthquake, and it would have been a different world. It would have been a different world entirely had Zia been assassinated, and Punjab would have been finished by then.
Well, let me ask you, Bhajan, as a final question, because clearly the stakes in this time period were enormous, and I think much more than people actually realise. Of course, the what happened in 1984, the genocide, the attack on the Ahmadiyya Sahib, they were enormous events. What I think we're uncovering now, with what you've uncovered with your research, actually the stakes were a lot bigger than that. We're talking global geopolitics here. We are talking about the expansion of the Soviet Union to an extraordinary extent. So as a final question then, of course, when we look at what happened, of course, D-Day, March 1984 didn't happen through whatever events happened. We had the attack on the Golden Temple in June. And then, of course, we have what happened in October, November 1984. Bheant Singh and his colleague, when they pulled the triggers of their weapons and assassinated Indira Gandhi, and thus stopped in the tracks Operation Shanty that was therefore planned for November, do you think when they pulled that trigger, they literally reshaped not just the politics of that region, but almost the politics of the world?
I think the Sikhs saved the world. and this is no, self-glorifying. It's a very factual. Because after D-Day, Indira Gandhi need to be in power to continue to help the Soviet Union. She must be in power. So they must enact the Operation Blue Star and kill the Sikhs because they have cultivated enough Hindutva anger by putting cowheads, by killing Hindus, by killing the Lala Jagtnaran, the Hindu editor. All the killings and all the violence and all the postponing the peace talks. The one thing that has been questioned, that questioned India today, everybody was wondering why did Indira Gandhi, her closest allies, former army officers, you name it, they all say, what were the Sikhs demanding? What was holding her back? Why she did not, settle with the Sikhs? Because the D-Day and a collaboration, her very throne depended on the Soviet Union's survival, and that's what Nehru did, and that's what she's doing. So you can see that the Operation Blue Star was continuation of the failed Operation D-Day on General Zia, and similarly, she also started the Soviet venture into the Tamil Sri Lanka venture, where she was going to help the Tamils get a homeland, and she was cheating the Tamils. She was not genuinely willing to help them. She didn't want to create a Tamil state. She didn't want to create more problems. But the Soviet Union and them together, they strategized just enough to create problems over there. So she had the Soviet Union thing going on at the same time. She had the Punjab situation going on at the same time, and the continuation of the Afghanistan, Pakistan situation going on. And you can see that how the Sikhs on that day, Bhajan Singh, I would say he's a world hero. The world needs to study this, the situation leading, the predicament of the Sikhs and why they keep suffering under this, I would say, is geopolitics, but geopolitics on the evil side. They are the ones the Sikhs are fighting. They are not fighting the good people of the world. You could be socialist state, and you could be many other states, Western. Not necessarily the Sikhs were supporting only the West. Their Guru Granth Sahib was, their idea, their valor was supporting the whole world. And had those bullets not ended Indira Gandhi's life, as you can see, General Zia, although he escaped on March, he was begging India not to attack. He even announced that I will have a peace pact of no war with India in October of 1984, just weeks before General Indira Gandhi was assassinated. General Zia was begging India. He's saying that I'll no war pact with India. I don't want war with India. He could not afford a skirmish with India. He had the Mujahideen problem. He had the refugee problems. He had the Soviet Union problem. He has so many assassinations on him that every second mattered now, not only for Pakistan, not only for Zia, but it mattered for America, it mattered for a large part of the world. So you can say that the bullets of Satwant Singh, the bullets of Bheant Singh, the Sikh bullets, they saved the world. It could have been a nuclear war. Anything could have happened. And one last thing, when Indira Gandhi died, the Tamil Tigers, the whole sum of their struggle, they said, we died when Indira Gandhi died. So had that deep water port gone to the Russians, there's so much ifs and buts, and the Russians are no friends of India. They are no friends of the Sikhs. They, in fact, have strategized in such a way, all the labor of the lower caste people of India, all the manufacturing were given to Soviet Union at massive discounted prices, and Soviet Union forced Indira Gandhi to buy all the weapons. She was just stooge. She didn't stand a chance. All the communist people of India, whoever wanted to be communist, were told by the KGB, you work with Indira. We have a non-aligned nation to frustrate the West, And we also have a feather in our cap that the world's biggest democracy is part of the Soviet Union bloc. These Brahmins, they really, it's like each Brahmin of Indira Gandhi is like Oxford University unto itself. That's what V.T. Rajshekhar told me, the Dalit. I met him. He says, Sikhs do not know the Brahmins. Each Brahmin is like an institution, and Oxford University is a Harvard institution by itself. And that's what they have shown here. And Sikhs need to reclaim their dignity because Guru Granth Sahib represents 95% of the hope of the India's population. And that's why they come under attack every second.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary story, Bhajan, and it's almost just a tragedy that the people of India really don't appreciate how much they owe to the Sikh community and what otherwise could have been had it not been for the Sikhs. But unfortunately, Bhajan, there we must leave it. But we will continue this discussion with Bhajan Singh Bhinder again soon. Bhajan, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thanks so much for joining us once again.
Thank you, Scott.
And thank you for watching the SATLUJ TV podcast. We will see you next time.